Omloop Het Nieuwsblad is coming up this weekend, as is Kern Brussels Kern, but we're gonna probably focus on Omloop. Omloop is I don't know, the first cobble in the cobbled street toward Flanders. That's not a great analogy. You know what I'm talking about. It's the first step. It's the first real classic, and it is, from a route perspective, it uses a lot of the same roads as Flanders does. Obviously, we're still a fair ways away from that, over a month. But it gives us a decent indication as to what's going on and how riders are coming out of the winter and all the rest. So, Dane, let's kick it off. Are there any changes to the route that we need to be talking about? Is there anything interesting there?
Yes, but no. Like, there are, but
Okay.
the finale's the same. I don't think we really need to worry about, like, they've switched the position of, I don't know, like the Wolvenberg and another climb. But yeah, the last like 5 or 6 climbs and cobbled sectors are the same. The finale is going to be the same. So I think in general, we're going to see pretty much the same race.
And the finale is the same as the old Flanders.
So yeah, they go up the iconic Muur van Gerardsbergen, and then quickly after that, they go up to Bosberg. And then from the top of the Bosberg, it is 12K to the finish line in Ninova. So not very much time at all, but enough time that you need to be good enough to stay away if you get away on either one of the Muur or the Bosberg.
Johnny's ridden the Muur. What do you think about it, Johnny?
I got halfway up, didn't I? Then rode and came back to see if I was alive. But it was fun. It's
really
fun.
Cool.
It's cool.
It's genuinely very cool. I'm excited. I imagine we will do this with members in our classics trip coming up. It's always it's a super fun ride. It's a very it's an aesthetic climb, right?
If you're not used to riding cobbles, doing it uphill is just like doesn't compute.
I think did it rain for us last year when we did?
Yeah, it was so slippy as well. That was my main excuse on the day. But then
it's a legit excuse.
Yeah, well, maybe we descended down and went into like a little cafe bar thing, and then it was just Johan Museo, I think or maybe it was someone else, but there was some like big dog just there, just having beers with randomers. And it was just like, we are in Belgium for Holy Week. It was wicked. The thing I'm most interested in, we can talk competitors and contenders now. Tom Pidcock will be leading Q36.5, bib number 211. And I mean, he top 10 last year, and he's on that, post Ineos Revenge tour. Yeah. I mean, imagine if he a top 10 again would be a great result.
I think he could do better. I think he's among the favorites to win.
I think so. Especially if he's not doing any Grand Tours, or he's definitely not doing the Tour this year.
Yeah.
Then he's maybe, geared himself towards competing in these early ones, really, tackling the Spring Classics this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's mini Flanders, right? So instead of being 260 something kilometers, it's 197, which does change. It changes the type of rider that tends to excel in it a little bit, and I think that it actually would work in Pidcock's favor, right? Yeah, it tends to go. It's not that Flanders doesn't go to punchy riders; it often does go to punchy riders because Flanders is basically a series of like 5-minute full gas efforts over the course of 6-7 hours. There's a difference between that and a series of 5-minute full gas efforts over a course of like 5 hours. It's a big difference, and that does tend to, again, lend itself to. You end up with more, not quite sprinters, but kind of riders on that end of the spectrum that end up doing quite well at Omloop. There's a couple other, names that are worth mentioning. For example, like Arnaud Delis is not one that I would necessarily put at the top of my list for Flanders, but I would definitely keep an eye on for Omloop. Dane, who else sticks out to you?
Well, the big favorite is Wout van Aert.
Yep.
And I think that's the big talking point as well, because he's coming back from a season that was disappointing. He's leading a team that is, including him, but everyone else as well, the big favorites to win, because Matej Jorgensen also on that team. He's
leading U.S. Postal Service Bald Eagles.
Right. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Van Aert is not the odds-on favorite. Like, he's still not favored to beat the field, but he's pretty far ahead of everyone else as the favorite. And I think the big question is, is it going to be what we saw for the past few years of Visma dominating the non-monument classics? Because we have seen it. We've seen Visma do really well right up until the point where they get to the ones that really, really matter. Not to take anything away from winning the Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. But it would be true to form if they did win this race. They've done quite a nice job at this race the past few years.
They've got Victor Campenaerts in this year, transferred in from Lotto, so that's good. Tige Benoot, but crucially, Christophe Laporte's not there, who's an interesting piece they use, and Jan Tratnik, last year's winner, who kind of worked as part of that Visma dominance at the front. He's now wearing number 1, which I don't. Have we ever seen Jan Tratnik in number 1?
Great question.
Jersey before?
I mean, if there's been like a race in Slovenia that Pogacar and Roglic and Matej Mohorič were not at, maybe. But
that's fun. Like him going in as defending champion for Red Bull is super fun. Another thing I completely took me by surprise just looking down the start list. Bob Youngles leads the Ineos Grenadiers. I completely forgotten that.
I think to Kaylee's point, it's
kind of fun.
It's a race that you maybe not the exact same riders that wins Flanders, and I think he first of all he's won Liège, right? So he's pretty damn good. Yeah, I like that. I think the other big storyline is the UAE Classics team. So no Pogacar.
Yeah.
But UAE's got multiple riders favored inside that sort of top 5, top 10 favorites. Their sort of leader is newcomer Jonathan Narvaez, who I think has strong potential to win a big classic this year, and this is the one that Pogacar's not at. So maybe he'll have.
Well, and they got Niels Pollitt, who featured fair. He was the guy who got beaten by Jan Tratnik, didn't he? Because he basically led him all the way, thinking I'm going to beat the little hamster man Jan Tratnik in a flat sprint, and then didn't have the legs. You got Tim Wellens there, Florian Vermeersch, and Mikkel Bjerg. And basically, with Vermeersch and Bjerg, the rest of the year they're going to be just doing donkey work. Well, donkey work's a harsh way to say it, but flogging themselves on the front, leading the Pogacar cart around, Tour de France or whatever. So these are the races where it's like, go be free. Like,
here's your chance.
Here's your chance. So it feels like that kind of gives you that extra motivation to be like, okay, I need to actually take my chance now.
Antonio Morgado is the other one, the 21-year-old. He's like just turned 21 too, like a month ago. Is the other one who I think is a real potential winner for that team. He already won a race, 2 races I think this year, and like everyone else, the same boat as everyone else, where he'll probably have a lot of support roles this year, but this will be a chance for him and Narvaez as well to do their own thing. So, yeah.
And then there's the Omloop curse, of course.
Yes, so maybe Van Aert should maybe not win this race.
You can't win Omloop and Flanders in the same year.
Ah, really?
It's a law.
Interesting.
I should say men can't win.
Okay.
I think you can win Omloop and Roubaix.
Men can't multitask.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel because you can win Omloop and Roubaix, I think it's still worth it to try to win Omloop.
Yeah. It has happened. No, but genuinely, we talk about what the year Wout won, didn't win Flanders. It is going back quite far, and there's a reason for that, right? Which is that it is the end of February, and Flanders is in the beginning of April, and it's quite a long way. And if you've got the legs to win this one, you probably lose them by then. You just straight up lose them, right? So that's why I like Omloop, because it often shows us who's going to win Flanders in like 3 or 4 years. There's quite a bit of correlation there. Now Tratnik obviously kind of in the opposite direction, but you tend to if you think about the top classics riders, if you put them on a bell curve, right, and the riders of the moment, the top riders of the moment are at the top of that bell curve. Generally, Omloop gets won by somebody just off to the left or to the right. Right? They're either past it or they're headed that direction. And that's one of the things that makes the race so interesting is you have this sort of split of different just different timings and schedules and how fit everybody is. I would say that is changing, right?
Yeah.
I think that the sort of the narrow peak that we used to see from these riders is changed somewhat, and riders are coming into the beginning of the classic season probably better than they used to. And so I do wonder whether the Omloop curse is not going to exist for too much longer, whether we're going to see somebody do that particular double in the next couple of years. I bet we do.
Another question. So we've got Yves Lampard leading Soudal Quickstep, a team that doesn't really look like the Quickstep Classic squads of old, really. Mm-mm. But is this going to be the first year where, in Holy Week, maybe before Roubaix, we have the Soudal Quickstep sort of press conference, and there's sort of the outpouring of anxiety from Belgian media that Soudal Quickstep are not going to win any decent sized cobble classic this year? Is this going to be because of the Remco Evenepoel transformation of that team? Is this going to be the first year we don't actually have that inquest? Do we think? Will the Belgian public finally let them live and just be a GC team now?
No, I think that inquest only continues to build with every year that they suck in the spring. Like these are the races that their fan base cares about.
Yeah,
deeply. Right, the Tour of Flanders is everything, and so for every year that they are anonymous at the Tour of Flanders, I think that inquest only continues to build.
And we should we should point out, like, this, all respect to Yves Lampaert, this is probably the worst Soudal Quick-Step Classic squad I've ever seen this year. I mean, there are just like no other big names at this team, and I mean, they've made the decision to do this.
Here's another way to put it: Omloop is the only classic that this team has any chance of winning.
Probably.
Like maybe Kurna,
maybe Dwars,
like this. Yeah, you could make an argument for a random Dwars or maybe a random E3.
Lampart's won 2 Dwars. He could win a third.
Yeah, maybe, but like realistically, like it's the second tier stuff that are the only races that Quick-Step could actually have a chance at this year, unless something really weird happens.
Because Kasper Asgreen's leading EF now as well.
EF now, so
all change. It's fun seeing basically all these sort of guys underneath the Van Aert, Van der Poel. You've got like an undercooked Van Aert, which is probably why he's definitely racing and not avoiding it like Van der Poel. They all have a chance, and is it going to be a group? And it feels like we're not going to get the same Visma strength at the front. Being able to have someone go off the front. Probably not even from UAE either. Yeah, exactly.
I do think Narvaez has a real shot, and I think UAE is going to be surprising a lot of people this Classics campaign. This is like strong UAE Classic squad, because they're strong at everything.
Has a South American ever won a cobbled Classic?
Certainly not in the last 20 years.
Is that a dumb question?
Or at Omloop. I don't know about.
Or any cobbled Classic.
Yeah, that's more of a question for a cycling history nerd.
We'll have to go look.
We'll have to look at that. We'll have to consult the archives. Exciting. The one thing that does bother me, and this will probably piss off any Belgian or purist, I feel it's nicer when you have these massive bike races on a Sunday. It feels much more of a Sunday activity.
I agree with that.
It's the same with a couple of those Italian ones as well.
Yeah, all the Italian one days, Saturdays.
Saturday, want to be out, a bit busy, maybe around town, and then Sunday, it's like, right, I'm just gonna sit on my sofa for 7 hours. I'm gonna listen to by the end of I'm gonna go to sleep in the evening, and Rob Hatch is just gonna be ringing around my ears. I'm gonna close my eyes and just see I don't know, some sponsor on the back of something.
Well, lucky for you, Johnny, you can watch Kurna Brussels Kurna on Sunday.
I don't want to. I'm not. That's far less interesting to me.
Should we each make a pick here? Should we make a pick?
Oh, we haven't done that for a while, have we? Because there's been racing on.
We haven't been.
Okay, let's have one pick from like the kind of groups of favourites or whatever.
Yep.
The people wearing number ones of their team, or
we'll do a head pick and a heart pick. How about that?
That's what I like. That's what I was looking for, but couldn't quite get there. Okay. Well, do you want to go first?
I think Dane should go first.
Yes,
oh man,
agreed.
Well, we already know your head pick is Narvaez, right? You've said it a couple times already.
It's also my hard pick, but he's too obvious to be a hard pick. So I actually think it's Wout van Aert is my head pick. I think Narvaez is your second favorite. I think Wout van Aert's my head pick.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Jonathan. You're not quite Wout van Aert yet.
Hold on.
Narvaez is on my fake team. That's another reason why.
I need 1 second to just keep looking through the start list.
Yeah,
pull this part out.
Okay, I'm gonna.
So I can say something semi-intelligent.
I'm gonna support my countryman. My head pick is Tom Pidcock. I think being on that revenge tour counts for a lot. Hungry dogs run fast and all that. And then my heart pick is Ben Turner shaped. Ineos Grenadiers goes well in the bigger classics. Maybe could sneak off into a group. Would be fun, I think that would fill my heart with joy. Let's say that.
Hard pick. I'm gonna go with Matej Vacek, who Tom's told us,
is
riding well.
See, Tom's would be a head and heart pick for all of us. I feel.
Well, yeah, that's a good point
because he has a really good chance of winning it, and
how great would that be?
Like that.
How great would that be?
It is fun, yeah. Come on, Kaylee. There's no penalty if you're wrong. Just to be clear, you can literally say anything, and then we'll probably be wrong anyway.
I mean, yeah, like the head pick is I think Wout van Aert is gonna do it.
Trample everyone.
I think he's probably gonna trample everybody. It is, Omloop is always weird, right? And team dynamics do play a role here, but I still think that he'll probably be able to do it. I do wonder whether the strength of Wout and the fear for him opens up an opportunity for U.S. Postal Service Bald Eagles Matej Jorgensen, who were temporarily loaning to Visma for the weekend.
He could do a Jan Tratnik.
Yeah, he could do it. Like, he could do a Tratnik. Tish Benut could do a Tratnik. We have this sort of classic one-day thing, which has happened in other spectacular ways over the years. I mean, like, one of my favorites is like Nicky Terpstra at Roubaix when he's racing with Boonen, right? Like, you get these sort of funky days where when people are truly terrified of one of your teammates, it's an opportunity. And I do wonder whether that could happen this weekend. So anyway, I'll stick with Wout van Aert for my head pick.
To your point, I think Jorgensen pulling a Tratnik is like way less unlikely than
for sure
Tratnik doing it was. So yeah.
Yep. I am my heart pick after really disparaging Quick-Step for a little while there. I really like Yves Lampaert. I think he's really nice. He once complimented me on a T-shirt that I was wearing, and so
what was the T-shirt?
It was a like set of handlebars, but in the shape of like a Star Wars X-wing with rainbow bands on it. You should have given him the shirt off your back, Kaylee.
I should. He only asked for a T-shirt once.
We were at a Quick-Step press conference ahead of probably Flanders, I think, and we were doing like a little sit down, and he just sort of like interrupted everything to be like, "I really like your T-shirt." Anyway, so because of that, I'm going to repay that feel-good feeling that he gave me with a feel-good feeling for him by saying that I think Yves Lampaert is going to win Omloop, and then that will temporarily shut up the sort of Belgian public.
That's true. That will just make it worse though, because then they'll
might make it worse.
It
might make it worse. Yeah, because then they'll be like, is he a contender for Flanders?
Could he win the Tour of Flanders? Yeah.
Could he win the Tour of Flanders? No.
He could.
No.
Yves Lampaert is a winner. He won. He got
true.
Tour de France, yellow jersey, time trial. The one thing I'd say about Wout van Aert is he clutch? I would say no.
Yeah.
Oof.
He kind of bottles it in some, or things happen to him where that don't happen to other riders. He's that cursed guy kind of. Not that I want to see that. I want to see him win. I want to see him win Flanders and Paris-Roubaix this year. But it's just like it feels like he doesn't put that energy out into the universe. He needs to watch some like TikTokers talking about like manifesting your own destiny or something.
Yeah.
I might text him that. I'll Instagram DM him to think positive.
Hey, here's what you're doing wrong, Wout.
Yeah. I bet he gets messages like that.
I'm sure he does.
I almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
You got to translate it into Flemish first. All right. So there we go. I'm going Wout and Yves Lampaert for Omloop. Should we just briefly discuss Kuurne? Let's briefly discuss Kuurne. So this tends to be a sprinter's classic. It can go a different direction every once in a while, not super frequently. But yeah, who are we looking at for Kuurne? Let's just talk about some of the big names, Dane.
Well, yeah, you've hinted the fact that we get the sprinters doing better, and so we should name some of those guys because there are quite a few who are quite good. The big ones are Jasper Philipsen and Tim Merlier. And should the race come down to a sprint, Jonathan Milan. The disrespect that I didn't bring him up among
Tim Merlier has already won kind of Brussels Curve.
Yeah, Tim Merlier. I think the fact that he and Philipsen both are Belgian fellows helps them a lot, and they care probably a bit more than others. But yeah, Merlier, Milan, Philipsen. I mean, Wout van Aert can do a damn good sprint as well. So
last year was not a sprint, by the way, at Kuurne.
That's
so
true.
It can go the other direction. It was. There's three riders. It was Wout and Tim Wellens and Oyer Lascano were the three that minute 23 ahead of the next group. So like it was quite a gap. So it can go the other direction, and when it does, it's a much more interesting race. But in general, yeah, I'm gonna put. I would put if I was going to put money on this, it would be Jonathan Milan. because, as I've said a number of times, I think he's on fire right now. And this is
he's also third places in the final days of the UAE Tour. No?
Well, but he's also proven that he can get up a hill a bit better than some of his
that's true.
other sprinters. And so there are a number of climbs, particularly early in Kurna, and if it's windy, it's just a very hard day, right? I think he's got more sort of endurance than a lot of the rest. Perhaps maybe Philipsen excluded.
I don't know why, but your very forthright support of Jonathan Milan has moved me into the opposite position when he's probably a lovely man, and he's obviously a very talented bike rider. But I now feel like I have to position myself as the buffer. Yeah. All the best to him.
So there we go. I think we'll leave the Kurna preview at that. Again, it's doesn't tend to get as hyped as much as Omloop because it doesn't have the Merv.
Killer race posters though. They I think do the race. They're the opposite of E3 in the race poster department. E3s are usually quite. I don't know.
E3s are notoriously misogynistic.
Yeah. Whereas Kurna's got over the past. I mean, it's maybe not every year, but they've had some pretty cool ones over the years.
Yeah.
Is it a donkey or am I making that up?
Well, they've had in the past it was a Minotaur. That was my favorite one.
Yeah, here's donkey. I'm not making that up. There was donkeys as well. That's a relief. There's this one where it's who's the blonde guy, the tall blonde guy, Julian Vermote. He's there hanging from the ceiling of a barber shop on the 2022 poster. I think it's Julian Vermote. But yeah,
inhabitants of Kurna, the town, are nicknamed donkeys. This is direct from Wikipedia. This is said to be a term of derision given to them by the people of nearby Kortrijk. So how about that? The Kortrijk-Kurna rivalry.
I mean, we're staying in Kortrijk this year for the Classic, so I guess we have to be anti-Kurna?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that right?
Did we see them play a football game, though? We supporting...
we watched the Bruges Circles.
But were they playing... I think they're playing Kortrijk, weren't they?
Were they?
Yeah, so we're anti-Kortrijk as well. We're Bruges boys. We're Bruges boys.
I was texting Lionel the other day, and we were seeing if we could go see another football game while we're over there. I think that'd be fun. Maybe we could bring the members with us. See if they want to go watch some football in the middle of the week.
The people in the gate are going to be like, God, we've got a lot of fans in this week. Gone from 30 to 60.
The Bruges Circles were great. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, apart from when there was a delay of 10 minutes because
some
someone
VAR thing.
There's VAR thing or the referee lost his cards or something weird. But yeah, we should definitely go. It was good fun.
We should.
And we had to pre-buy all those beers, which I'm sure we've still got. And you left my safety jogger umbrella in there, so we have to look for that.
I did. We got to go look for that. Maybe it's just sitting. It's probably sitting in a bin in the corner.
It'll just be still on the table inside the ground.
All right. So there you go. Preview of Omloop, preview of Kurna. I think that as we go through the season here, this Friday show is going to pretty frequently have these previews in it. It's part of the reason why Dane is on the Friday show more often than not.
Should we start tracking them? I mean, we've already got the draft thing, but should we start tracking our picks as well? Our heads and hearts picks.
I mean, at the very least, we should keep track of the ones that we get right.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sounds
Hype
good.
yourself if you got it right. Yeah.
Yeah.